Hey, you guys, it's Monday morning, and I just want to let you know this is the day that Mrs. Racine spilled McDonald's soda all over her shirt, pants, and shoes. It was not a good way to start my morning. But at least I get to read this great book. I'm really enjoying it. Chapter 21. Mrs. Kaplan led the way into a large and noisy dining hall. Max immediately felt awkward. She was supposed to spend days with kids her own age. She counted 8 of them seated around one large, circular table. They were passing around, serving platters and bowls heaped with steaming food. There was one empty seat at the table. Max turned to Carl and Isabel. "Who are those guys?" she whispered. Isabel smiled. "Your competition." Max realized Carl and Isabel had left that part out of their invitation to Jerusalem and the CMI, the competition part. They left out the other kids' part, too. "Most of the other children arrived yesterday," said Mrs. Kaplan. The few the day before." "A robot could make better kielbasa than this," shouted one boy, what sounded like an Eastern European accent. He had just taken a bite out of the sausage speared with his fork. "Robots would produce a much more consistent blend of meats packed into the casing." "I don't eat anything with a face," said a Japanese girl with long, straight hair, seated directly across the table from the boy. "Plant-based nutrition has been scientifically proven to be much healthier for you. It's also healthier for the environment. It takes 15 pounds of grain to produce 1 pound of beef. What a waste of water." "Robotic irrigation could have done it much more efficiently." "They need to tap into the proper aquifers to lessen the environmental impact," added a freckled girl with a lilting Irish accent. "And they would," said the sausage boy. "They're robots." "Here you are, Max," said Mrs. Kaplan, handing Max a clear name badge with a shiny microchip embedded inside its plastic. "Go take a seat with the others." The empty seat at the table was for Max. She shyly sat down. "Who are you?" asked the boy to her right. His name tag ID'd him as Keto. "Max," she mumbled. "You from America?" Max nodded. "Me too. Oakland." "New York." "Weird." "I beg your pardon." "I think it's weird that they thought they needed 2 Americans in this competition. Everybody else is from other countries." "So, do you know anything about this contest?" "Yeah," blurted the blonde boy across from Max, the one with half a sausage speared on his fork, the other half of it in his mouth. "He knows that I'm going to win it." "In your dreams, Klaus," said Keto. "Those 2 are like that," whispered a girl seated to her right. She sounded like she might be from Africa. She leaned closer to Max and drank her... Ooh. She leaned closer to Max, and her dark, puffy hair just brushed against Max's wild curls. "They're so competitive." "Just ignore them. I'm Tissa, from Kenya." Max nodded, smiled, and decided to eat the rest of her meal in silence. When dessert, platters of cookies, bowls of fruit, and ice cream drizzled with chocolate sauce, Max's favorite, was finished and the table had been cleared, Ms. Kaplan stepped forward to address the group of 9. "Good evening to you all. Welcome to the Change Makers Institute. By now you are probably all wondering why you are here. To eat delicious, if what somewhat imperfect food," said the sausage boy. "We're glad you enjoyed your meal, Klaus," said Carl. "But this is about much more than food." "Indeed," said Miss Kaplan, clasping her hands behind her back. A 3-dimensional holographic video screen hovered over the circular table. It started to illustrate the key topics in Ms. Kaplan's speech. Food and water scarcity, economic inequality, global warming, the education crisis, poverty, large-scale conflicts and war, pandemic disease. The world you children will soon inherit from your parents is plagued by a plethora of problems. said Miss Kaplan. Many of them could threaten the extinction of the human race. Many of them were, of course, created by humans. Thanks, Mom and Dad, muttered a dark-eyed boy named Vihan. Whoever they may be, thought Max. Here at CMI, we hope to help reverse the spiral of doom, Ms. Kaplan continued. The graphics in the translucent video dome changing from images of impending doom to the CMI's sleek, rotating logo. Here we aim to make significant changes to save this planet and the humans who inhabit it. That is why we are sponsoring one brilliant child to help solve Earth's very real problems. One of you, the best and brightest children that your generation has to offer. Each of you has been invited here because of your unique talents, incredible intellects, and perhaps most importantly, your humanity. Max had long dreamed that one day she might get a chance to make the world a better place. Sure, it was probably an impossible dream given her circumstances, but she believed in what her hero, Dr. Einstein, had once said. Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. Of course, the good doctor forgot to mention the part where, to do the most good, you had to first outdo some heavy competition. 8 of the smartest, most gifted, most talented kids on the planet.